Hey everyone, and a shorter recap today because day 4 in the Karen Reed trial was a big nothing burger. Well, at least it was fun hanging out with Valhalla and Mo and go over the timeline in Brennan's opening statements. I think maybe I need to dig into that more because it makes less sense the more you look at it. But it's Canton. The less you think about it, the more sense it makes. But back to day 4. Day 4 was field trip day. Probably a little too early in the trial for me because the witnesses Brennan has put out there so far haven't really talked about how everything was going on at the scene. All they kind of know is people running around on a dash cam. So good for the Commonwealth that the viewing is this early. They don't really have a clear mental picture of, okay, this is where he's found, this is where the tail light is found, this is where the shoe was found. They just went out there and looked at parked cars at a curb where the defense told them, notice how close the house is, because they will go into that with Brian Albert saying, how the hell didn't you wake up? And the Commonwealth, between you and me, it's been 4 days now. I heard his opening statements. He messed up royally in his opening statements. He couldn't keep his timeline straight, and now I think they're trying to introduce a new theory that, you know, that little lip spoiler you have on the back on your car. He told the jury to pay special attention to that. I looked at the pictures of the car that we have seen. I couldn't see any damage to it. I can't, my trusty friend Bender here, because they claim he was struck on the arm either in a straight position or with a bent arm. That spun him around and threw him on the grass. Well, according to the opening statements, he struggled around for 7 seconds and then fell over perfectly straight. But now he said, pay close attention to the top spoiler. We went in, did how tall is the car? The car is roughly 2 inches shorter than John O'Keefe. So is he claiming that the injury to the back of the head came from the spoiler while he was hit in the arm? Because that makes no sense. The car is slanted. So do he want the head to be struck? No one testified in the first trial that had any. I don't know. I really don't know what if any sense that should make. It makes no sense what he claims. I saw one of the aunties had made a picture of John kind of being in this position. Because remember, there's that little bruise to his right knee. So he was kind of standing like this when he got struck by the car. I don't. Are people this stupid that they believe that could have happened? I really don't understand where he's going with that little spoiler. The pictures I saw, no damage to the spoiler. Everything we've been presented so far, not one piece of evidence found on the spoiler, no scratches on the spoiler, no nothing. So maybe it was just to confuse everyone, because I don't know why they should pay special attention to that. But they went on their viewing, spent roughly 20 minutes at the house, walked around, looked at the car, looked at the house, and this time the car was parked down by the flagpole where they claimed it happened, which I think was better, especially because there was a car behind it, so they could see how little room there was from the room of the space of impact till she would have crashed into another car. But then we went back and we got to probably the most boring witness in history of trials. We had a doctor to talk about how you do a blood draw. It was Gary Fowler. He is immensely boring. It's probably the slowest talker who ever talked. And he's there to tell, well, we did the things that we did. We spun the blood in a centrifuge and we did all the right things. On cross, are you forensically qualified? Nope. Did you consider that the multiple sclerosis Karen suffers from could have an impact on the blood draw? No. Studies show it can and it can't. And again, they never measured her ethanol level. It's a reactant to the alcohol in her blood, an NDR plus, but that could also be spiked by stress levels. We know the blood draw is made when she is there on a section 12. She just found her dead boyfriend. Could elevate your stress level a little teensy bit. Maybe that's why the two blood alcohol readings they have has a discrepancy of 136%. But this isn't the guy who will testify to that. We'll have another guy who will say how much he thinks it is, because he just plugged in some numbers he got from this guy. And there's an outlier in the measurement. So if you go by the lowest number they have and put in that inaccuracy, she would actually be at a 0.0776. I think someone measured it or calculated it too. So she wouldn't even be impaired. I hope the defense is up on that and have someone who can prove it, because till of these 4 days, the worst evidence against her is still her admitting, I had weak drinks, because it makes her sound like mama likes to get her drink on. And I think even though people say, well, it's nothing, it's one of those things a jury will pick up on. The last witness was the second ambulance driver that took her for the section 12. That was Jason Becker. Jason Becker seems like a good guy. He looked really clammy. He looked ill, to be honest. And he kind of went a little along the way of Brennan, but he also seemed like he wasn't too fond of testifying that Karen. He talked about her being up and down and being hysterical. And she wanted to show him his phone and talked about she had an argument in the early evening. And that's one of those semantic things that maybe you pick up on or you don't pick up on. Because Mr. Brennan wants to tell you that when I say, hey, I'll meet you in the early evening, that means 12:30. I don't know, and maybe it's because English is my third language, but early evening to me would be somewhere after 6 and before 10. That maybe 9. Say that's early evening. 9 to 12, that's late. And after 12, it's night. After 5, it's morning. That's how I put in the times of day. I don't know if it's an American thing that you claim early evening at 12:30. No reasonable person I know of would ever claim that 12:30 is early evening. Well, maybe if you're a night owl, but other than that, it makes no sense. But he came off believable that Karen had been very, very distraught. And she said something, sorry, Karen, and she said something about Carrie, but he didn't really hear it. One thing he didn't do is do what Carrie Roberts' secret admirer did. He didn't talk about, oh, she didn't want to participate. He said, yeah, of course she was distraught. We see that all the time. And she was willing. He didn't say, yeah, when we went to the hospital, I was so afraid for the nurses that we had to be there to make sure, even though we are firefighters, not police, that we could tackle her and tase her and subdue her because we were so afraid of the nurses because she was so erratic. Again, you're sectioning 12 a woman who just lost her husband on a potential self-deletion scare. And you can't understand, she might be a little distraught. She might be a little out of it. This guy seemed more truthful to me than the other guy. But again, nothing much in yesterday. It was the most boring guy. Luckily, he's out of here because we don't have to hear him talk about centrifuges going at 600 revolutions per second or how much it was. He's really fond of talking about everything else than that his lab didn't have the qualifications to do what they were used to do. Did it work? I don't think. Everyone was sleeping when he was talking. The last guy, Jason Becker, I think they could feel he didn't want to be there. And that's the funny thing. You have these witnesses who really want to be front and center. Carrie Roberts, Jen McCabe, all of these people, and point their finger. This guy seemed very objective and seemed like, yeah, she was kind of erratic, but I've seen worse. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to do a video and look at Carrie Roberts. She was on Good Morning America just to see what she says. That was aired the morning before she did her cross-examination. There's some weirdness in it. I'm going to do that in a bit, so look out for that video. And if you don't want to hang with me later today, come back Monday and watch the Karen Read trial, day 5.